serving up a dose of wisdom and humor with a dash of radiance. Welcome to Biscuits and Sunshine with your hosts, Callie and Landra.
Hey y'all, click that follow button and pull up a seat at our table for your next serving of Biscuits and Sunshine. I'm Callie.
And I'm Landra. We're delighted you're here with us. We're recording this from Distance 4 Audio Studios in Athens, Greece. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1, Enna, Pame, let's go.
I cannot believe we are celebrating our second season today. I am so excited.
Look at us. High five, girl.
Yeah! I think that deserves a cheers. To us. When I think back over the last year, I love the fact that the one constant creative project I have is doing this podcast with you. It is such a delight for me, and I love sharing it with you. I love sharing it with our listeners. I enjoyed this so much.
I agree. It's been, just like you said, an amazing experience, just you and I. We have a lot of, core values, and our friendship just has really blossomed. But this has given us like an elevated experience of going through something new together.
Yeah. And I think we consistently work to make the podcast better. And one of the things that we have done recently is sort of articulate what our core values for the podcast are, and our vision and our mission. Some of those things you're already familiar with. Our vision being to serve up wisdom and humor with a dash of radiance. That's something that we have incorporated from the beginning. And I think we've been able to sort of elevate and build upon that idea with our values at the podcast and our mission.
Our mission is empowering women to cultivate lives that generate joy. Our values that support that are authenticity, creativity, and being community-minded.
Which I don't think is a surprise for anyone. Of all the words we say on this podcast, I think community, creativity, and authenticity are probably right up there among the top things.
Absolutely. And what has been interesting to see is we knew we wanted this project to be a little bit more flow and to bring in this creative energy that really allowed for things to develop organically and not so much of this push, extra like hard, rigid goals. It was more of like we needed space for it to breathe. And really, we talk about so many metaphors of growing and gardening. So it's really a lot of that. And so I'm really proud of us that I think we hit this milestone in that way.
It's almost as if, in a way, I do think we're sort of learning and growing alongside the podcast, because we speak on things that are important to who we are, but almost always it's also topics that we are working to practice and working to bring more to the focus of our own lives. And so the ideas of growing and of planting and of nurturing and of being in the moment and present with the season, I think is very reflective of what we try to live in our own separate lives.
Yeah. And it's been interesting because this podcast is a container and sometimes a mirror to reflect that back to us, and a place to almost like a playground to play a little bit and trying these things out. So yeah, I have some ideas for myself of like, what has this podcast afforded me? What have I learned? I'm curious if you have a sense of what that is for you.
One of the big lessons for me was that I don't have to have all the answers in order to use my voice. Because as you just said, it's a container. And I think working in tandem with you has allowed me to remove myself a little bit from the demand of perfection. And I've spent a lot of years thinking, I have nothing to say. I speak on behalf of others in my daily career, in my life. I feel like I champion friends and causes and all of that really well. But when it came to saying something on my own, maybe I was scared. Maybe I didn't think that what I had to say was of value. A little bit of imposter syndrome, right? Because okay, yeah, I can say these things really well, but are they worth saying? And I feel like you have helped me sort of come to terms with the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect, but that there is value in sharing my perspective, how I see the world, and what my experience has taught me.
That resonates so much, Callie. It's so funny because often I talk about why do I love teaching, whether it was in the area of yoga, whether it's in leadership coaching, whether it's in mindfulness. And it's always about, it's not about me. And it's about holding space for other people. And also, I keep myself honest by being in the practice of, because I can't just show up. I guess I could, but I don't think I'd be as an effective teacher if I wasn't doing the work myself. That has been the same and true for this podcast. And so it's nice to hear you reflect it back to me of how much I've been encouraging you in all those areas because it's actually the work I need to do. And I think so much back to like some of my self-development work. I've used like something called like a declaration, a phrase to kind of help push me out there. I knew this project using my voice, really stepping into center stage, if you will, and being seen. I knew this was going to push me. So one declaration I used in the past when I would get small and when I get quiet, go, oh no, it's not about me. Let me leave space for other people. I would say, I am a contribution. And that would tune me up to say, I need to speak what's on my mind because, yeah, I might be echoing what someone's already said. I might be sharing something that nobody is saying, but regardless of anybody else's judgments, what I have to say really does matter. And so this podcast was really kind of coming out of the shadows and being in the spotlight a little bit. And how beautiful that you felt that from me really encouraging you, and really you were the one encouraging me as well.
I think that's such a powerful lesson for women. I mean, we do things in community, buzzword, core value, but we do things in community so well. But I think when we stop, I say this all the time about our group of friends. Somehow, these people that we never knew, even though let's say 4 of us came from the same continent, this group of 5 girls that I'm thinking of, we all seem to be having the same issues around the same time and coming from totally different reasons. By sharing your journey, by sharing our journey, we unconsciously give permission to others
That's
to
right.
share their journey, to use their voices, which I think is always a lesson that we as women can learn and pass along.
Hmm. And I think about how special this is because we're using our voices, and when you think about, you know, different cultures and how things were passed down was through storytelling. And so there is something beautiful about being able to use your voice, also being able to hear and be a witness for somebody else's experience. It's a powerful thing.
Are there episodes that stand out in your mind over the past season that really, like, light you up, or if you listen back to them, you get, like, all the feels?
My gosh. I mean, I love each of them. But I guess if I had to pick a couple that really stand out to me, the meaning of home early on, yeah, because I think it was so relevant of having left home, quotation marks, where we grew up to then create home here. I also think the one around creativity that really resonated, vulnerability. And the one time we had a special guest that I thought was a really fun dynamic and to hear from our friend Olivia when we all had a conversation around the wisdom across generations, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So, yeah, that was really cool.
I think what we'll do is we'll link our favorite, like, episodes in the comment section of
Yeah,
this episode so that you can go back and reference them and maybe get a little lift of joy like we have in remembering about them. I think my favorite episodes from the first season, definitely our Greek travel episode. I think that was just something that we both enjoyed, highlighting the places we love, the things that we experienced as tourists, now natives. It was really fun to record that.
agree.
I also like the early episode we did about expectation and disappointment because it's such a thing for me in my life. I liked having the platform to speak on that because I'm a verbal processor. So even though I come to these episodes, like, ready to talk about the things on my mind, even as I'm speaking out loud, I'm already sort of reprocessing and thinking things. So that's probably why I like to have the same conversations over and over with people, because I'm always sort of learning and rethinking and seeing things from different angles as I process out loud.
That reminds me too, another learning of doing this process is exactly that. I like, oh, I forgot about that part of my experience, right? And then you're speaking it into people that are hearing it for the first time. And there is something about that process internally where we start to say, wait, I'm in a new place in my life. I'm seeing this from a different perspective based on all the other experiences that have come after that. And just how interesting that process has been of reflecting, maybe even like metabolizing a little bit of that and then seeing it from a different angle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, in all honesty, we have our main episodes, but then every other week we do individual bits.
Yeah.
I think that's at the heart of Convos with Callie, is this idea of speaking aloud, having conversation with myself
Mm.
as I'm having it sort of with other people and people are listening. But I really think it's a space for me to verbally, out loud, articulate what I'm experiencing in that moment.
And it's so relevant to not only kind of following the episode that it does, but also the season that we're going through. It really gets me thinking of things in a different way as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also really love Glimmers with Landra that you do, because I think it is such an invitation to be present every time you post one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want, glimmer, the word itself comes from really to be an opposite of something that triggers us. And we know the world is full of triggers and things that are just disheartening and hard. And so it is reorienting, helping people reorient to the okayness of the moment. And sometimes that's through a practice of reflecting, through doing some movement. So there's always, it's an invitation to try something new. I also like to say it's an experiment. And hopefully it gives people a toolkit they can start to build over time when they're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. My nervous system is going a little haywire. Oh, I remember I did that practice and I can go back to it at any point in time that I need it. So I do say often, if you like this one, if it resonates, bookmark it so you can come back to it.
Your glimmers are so practical. That's what I love about them. I think they are really moments and practices that can add value to people's lives.
Thank you, friend. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say, it's maybe more technical, but I don't know about you. Did you feel like the podcast was going to be what it is, like behind the scenes, or has it turned out to be a little different?
I don't know. I have such deep experience in production
Oh, that's right.
that I know sort of the end result rarely is what it's like in the recording of it, because I've just been behind the scenes for so long.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience.
I'm looking at you, we're both smiling. You're like, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Well, I just, this is new to me, like the behind the scenes kind of, yeah, having a loose script, like a scaffolding of what you want to say, and then also leaving space for the magic. But it's the after effect that I was like, wow, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
We've fallen into our roles of, who listens and who edits and makes notes. I mean, there's a couple hours I find even per episode just to listen. Then Alex takes it and works it through his magic all the time it takes for him to, you know,
Edit out our
exactly. That mixed with like, making sure that things sound equal. So no matter what device you're listening on, if you're on a Bluetooth, if you're on a headset. So, I mean, I'm learning so much technical stuff and I'm just in awe of both of you and the experience you bring. And literally, like it would have been like pie in the sky to be like, I'm going to do a podcast had I not had somebody that we have a music studio, an audio studio, and I have a friend who's worked in production. Like this just was a no-brainer. But yeah, I've just been shocked at like how much time it takes and refinement. And now, of course, I feel like we're a well-oiled machine, but whew, yeah, talk about the dedication to make this happen. I'm just so proud of us and I'm just so in awe of both of you and your skills.
Oh, thanks. Also, I mean, Alex is like a huge boon for us. I don't think it would be possible without him.
Yeah, Very true.
So shout out, Alex.
Thanks, babe.
It takes dedication to do anything like this. But because we are focused on doing it in an authentic way that doesn't demand from us, but rather collaborates with us, that's really challenged me to apply that lens to other projects in my life. And when you're working by yourself, the only person you have to hold you accountable is yourself. And that's very hard for me because sometimes I can take on too much and get into this place where everything feels forced and everything is in the go, go, go because it has to get done. And I know through this experience, I don't operate at my best through that feeling. So trying to take the magic we've created here and sprinkle it throughout my life has been a challenge for me.
How so? I don't know if I understand exactly fully.
It's like I hold fully creative projects and work projects in different places in my mind.
Mm.
And I allow creative projects to be flowy and inspired and things that need space and time.
Mm-hmm.
And in work, I'm just going to barrel through. I
Mm.
understand that it isn't something, I think it isn't something I have to enjoy in order to get done. So if I procrastinate and wait till the last minute and just force, it's fine.
Mm.
But I don't like that. The stress in my life comes from operating like that. And so having this experience as a comparison, I'm sort of trying to recalibrate my brain so that I can bring more flow and more creative mindset into everything I do.
I see what you mean. So yeah, one kind of was like, "Ooh, this feels good,"
Mhm.
and it shone the spotlight on the areas that didn't feel good. And I get that. I think too, when there's like we feel like there's this duality or two parts of us, it feels fragmented, and then it feels like almost internally not good because it's like, "Oh, that feels good. I can breathe more deeply," and then the other part feels like tense and holding.
And suffocating.
Yeah, and there is almost like this, maybe it's a season of integration,
Mhm.
as you bring in more flow, letting that like, "Okay, I'm using my hand right now." It's like it's in a fist, it's tense. And as the other hand's kind of be more flowy, like with air surrounding that, then loosening the grip a little bit. And it's like each time looser and looser. And not to say everything then is becomes super flowy, but there's like the balance almost between the two because I don't think we would not be here if we were super airy,
Exactly.
flowy. We had to have deadlines and, meetings and certain kind of milestones along the way. I think that's literally where we both are.
Yeah.
Is trying to be okay with like the discomfort, feel it, let it be, but also go, wait a minute, there's some choice in here. There's some decisions, there's some mindsets that maybe we need to be more accountable to. Cause I feel that. I feel like it is it's really been around I've been learning it's around this discipline, of doing it, of just starting even though you don't want to. Like we've talked a little about this, your background in production and TV, you're so used to scripts. And then I'm like, okay, I got that. I'll start that one. And then I start doing it. And I'm like, like I get two in my head. Oh, this is hard. This isn't flowing right. And so, yeah, how can I stop and go, wait a minute, hold on a sec. And then also asking you a lot more questions so that I can feel like more empowered too. And it's getting at that perfection. Am I doing this right? I don't know how to do it.
You hit the nail on the head. It's integrating these two parts of ourselves to be one. Because I
Mhm.
think we've talked about in previous episodes, this, for me specifically, I know, feeling comfortable in all avenues of life. Doesn't mean that there isn't newness and there's not sort of like an experience I haven't had before, but being authentically me. And I've said in the past, my work self is the last place I think I really have to dig deep
Mm,
and integrate this more fluid, less pushy energy.
yeah,
And I think right now that's the hardest place for me to do it because the only way I know to get work done is the way I've always done it.
yeah.
And so it's an opening to newness and it's an opportunity to stand in between two things and I don't like that space. I don't like that
Mhm.
limbo feeling of moving from something comfortable into something new, which most assuredly is going to be better. But it's just that growth transition period that
Yeah.
it's sticky and I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. I wonder, because as you're speaking, I'm going back to where I was at your age. I don't know if this is a product of being in your 30s, but I am reflecting back and remembering so much of a timeline between like around 33 to 38 was around this integration because I was always the leader, the boss, the person that had to like have it all together and lead the way. And so I was the work me, and then the personal me was something different. And until I found a workplace and around like minded people that I got to go, wait a minute, no, you can be yourself. Just because you're the leader doesn't mean you can't be vulnerable. You can't say, I need help. So it's just learning all these new ways of working that started to kind of like go click, click, click for me. And yeah, so I think about that, and then when I started to teach yoga and started to, go on and teach and coach, I named my company Integrate and Flow, and it was intentional because the more that I was able to integrate parts of myself, my experiences, life flows a little bit more with ease. And so, I don't know, it's interesting. I just ask those of you that are listening, yeah, just kind of reflect where you are in your life. Are you past your 30s? Are you still in your 30s? Are you headed that way? And yeah, just kind of get a sense of see what that is for you. Is it true? Is it not? Um, but it's just an interesting kind of time in life, I think, because you kind of finish all those things you're supposed to do, and there's not like a okay, now here's what you do. And so you either can hold on tightly to these ways of being, or we can kind of throw them out and run towards other ways of being, or we can kind of, again, integrate and kind of pick and choose and notice and be more thoughtful about yeah, how we're relating, how we are responding to our environment versus reacting to our environment.
It's about cultivating the courage to live authentically
Mm-hmm.
and doing the work in order to identify what an authentic life is for you. Which is great because Landra and I are working on developing an ebook specifically about that. Practical steps to help our listeners build a life and rebuild a life, to uncover the courage that already exists to have a life that is authentic to each and every one of you. The ebook is in the works. We're going to offer live workshops as well, hold space and just sort of have conversation and discussion about these topics and these ideas and the challenges and the victories and that everybody experiences. So be on the lookout for that because it has been a labor of love, just like this podcast.
Yeah. And we are, of course, still marching ahead with our episodes, our Convos with Callie, our glimmers. But we are like thinking about what is it for this next season. And it is bringing more of you into the conversation, having you all amazing people meet one another. So I'm excited for that sense of community that will be continually cultivated.
Yeah. Authentic, creative, community minded.
That's us.
It's going to be a hell of a season 2 because season 1 was incredible. I think without a doubt, we would not be here unless we had such a great, supportive group of people working alongside us. And I really have to say, Landra, you are incredible. This has just been the best experience that I have ever had.
Well, right back at you, girl.
I'm so grateful for you.
I'm so glad that us birthday twins found each other in this crazy cosmos.
What are the chances?
A complete delight.
Really and truly, it makes me 100% believe that things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Our hope for you this week is that you have an opportunity to get to know us better and actively become a part of our community. Share the podcast, leave a comment, ask a question. Anything that resonates with you will likely resonate with another.
And if you really love what we're serving up, please hit the follow button and leave us a 5-star rating. This is Biscuits and Sunshine with Callie and Landra.